Okay, we're gonna supply vacuum, fuel pressure regulator, dual butterfly. Hold on, let me get the focus straight. There you go. Okay, so you definitely need to provide vacuum for this. Some people leave this off if they're not running, if they don't want to run the dual butterfly, or they're not running the ECU that has controls for it. If you leave this off, it'll just stay open. You know, you won't be using the long runners. The long runners, the way it was designed is you get a little bit of low end torque, because you know that's what long runners do. And then when you need power, when you at the high end or wide open throttle, it opens and it goes through the short runners, which is, it's hard to see from here, but it goes from here straight, kind of like that. The long one makes it come around the top. So when there's vacuum, this thing is, that's closed. When it's closed, then it's going through the long runners. All it's doing really is shutting off the short runner. So you got to supply vacuum to it if you want it to shut, and then you get your vacuum source right there. Normally there's a vacuum chamber and a solenoid, so the computer controls when when this thing bleeds the vacuum. So it shuts when the car's running because there's vacuum through it, but then as soon as it gets to a certain RPM, it opens because the computer tells it to, bleeds off the vacuum. There's a vacuum chamber that holds the vacuum shut. Excuse me. It's hard to explain. I'm not good at explaining stuff, sorry. So what we're gonna do, since I'm not gonna be running a GSR ECU, I'm probably gonna be running the JDM Type R ECU. What we're gonna do is we're gonna tee it. So this and this are gonna be teed together, getting its vacuum source from here. What that does is, when you start it, normal driving, there's going to be vacuum to it, so it's going to hold it shut. As soon as you stomp on the throttle, you go wide open, you lose, you drop vacuum, so it opens. And it's supposed to stay open throughout the rev band, because you basically don't have any vacuum at that point, because you're wide open throttle. So this is what I did. This is gonna go to the vacuum source, and then it's T from here to here. This is basically what's on the GSR manifold. I just eliminated the vacuum chamber and made it simpler. So let's go put it on. I'll try to put this on with one hand. So the short end of the T will go right there, you can see it, and then we are going to run this underneath this to make it look somewhat clean. There's a bracket right there, so let's put this on. See where this bracket is. There you go, put that on, and then this right around there where the kind of like the bracket falls for it. And then we grab the other one, the other part of the T, and you just run it through there. Again, I'm sorry I'm doing this one-handed, my left hand at that. So there you go. Let's address the wiring harness issue. That side, it's already plugged in. Again, like I said, unplug this all together. The engine harness is a 96 GSR. This is a 94 LS, so this is LS. If you notice, everything plugs in, everything works, minus you don't have VTec, knock sensor, oil pressure switch, and the throttle butterfly control. Those are the four you're missing. I'm not running the butterfly, so I gotta add 3 wires: knock sensor, VTec, and oil pressure switch. If you notice right there, you see how it's got a plug right there? See how there's no pin coming out of it? Well, while this, it's on the engine harness side, it's complete. It's pre-wired. You got to figure out which one's which is, I mean, you can just look it up on a wiring diagram. Run 3 wires from here. Well, you got to go to a junkyard and pick and pull and grab one of the, grab a pin for it, and you basically pin it in. Run the 3 wires through the firewall. Usually put it through here where the factory harness is, through the firewall and down to your ECU. Okay, so I got it pinned in, 3 wires. I'm gonna see if I can show you how to double check. Let's see, we got here. Let's put a sound on our test meter. So you hear it when it makes contact. So we're gonna put it, and this is just to double check your work. What I did was I looked it up, pin locations by connectors. So going by memory, this is knock sensor, all pressure switch, vtec solenoid. So let's double check the all pressure switch. Again, I already did this. I'm trying to show you how to do this. It's kind of hard. So here, I'm gonna put the camera down. You're gonna hear it beep. That means it's making contact. I need 2 hands, so sorry. Okay, that's the all pressure switch. That's the vtec, and the knock sensor, it's under the manifold. It's a little hard to get to, so we're gonna assume I did that one right. One way to assume is there's really only 3 empty pin locations here. Okay, so to remove the pin, try not to stay focused. You see this there? Here, let's do the top. Let's do this one. You can probably see this one. Okay, you see how it's got that little, you see how it's got that little triangle right there holding it? So hopefully the camera's getting this. What you need to do is push up on the connector. Be careful not to break it. See how it was able to move it up a little? Move it up. That keeps it from, that takes it out of the lock position. And then push it back. See how? Now, from the back, it's this one. I think I accidentally pushed it back into its place. Alright, oh no, I did remove it. It was the other one. It fell out. See, yeah, it looks like this. Now, to put it back in, all you're really doing is inserting it. Now, pay attention as it comes in. You'll see it lock in place. And basically do it reverse. See how that thing goes up, the lock? There. So to pull it out, you basically push up and out. And then upside down. This only goes in one way. and then this locks everything in place, and it keeps it from pulling out or going up. There you go. I got this thing all soldered up. I know there's only 3 wires, and you're gonna say, I can remember 3 wires. Do yourself a favor, write it down like I did, and try to get it as close as you can. I know the black one didn't really match, but so I wrote it, write down, like in my case, might not be for your case, green is vtec solenoid. I try to stay as close as to what the factory was. The red is knock sensor. All pressure switch is black. The reason I most likely I picked black for all pressure, because all pressure is ground. So when there's all pressure, it connects to ground. It helps me remember. But I do, like I said, write this down. I messed up. I got done soldering, and I'm out of shrink tubing, so I gotta run down to the parts store and grab some shrink tubing. But this part is done. Let me go ahead and take care of some stuff, not about the car, but around the house before I leave. I'm gonna run to the parts store, get some shrink tubing. I might pick up some other stuff too. But basically, you shrink tube it, wrap it with wire loom, electrical tape, and you run it parallel to the factory harness. I really don't recommend cutting up the factory harness to fish it in there. I mean, yeah, it would make for a much cleaner look. Battery covers that, so no one's gonna see it. I usually, after I wrap it up, I usually put parallel and zip tie it together, and then I make a little cut right here, run the wires through there, comes out of the other side, and then plugs into the ECU. On this end, I didn't put the pin connectors yet, because once we're inside, we're gonna cut this to size. Alright, well, let me get back. Let me get some shrink tubing. I'll be back. Okay, I got it all shrink wrap. Okay, I got it all shrink wrap. Put it on, I shrink wrapped it, and then I electrical tape it. So let's put this back on. There, see, now it looks factory. So basically this is where we're at. Got it all buttoned up, got it soldered. Like I said, I ran it, where is it? Right there. I ran the wire through there, basically made a little hole, then fed it through, then just kind of zip tied it along this. Once the battery tray and the battery's on here, you won't see any of this. So but yep, as far as under the hood and this wiring, it's done. I got it all nice and tucked. Put the air box back in. I don't know if you noticed on the last video, I forgot. I still gotta go to pick and pull and get this guy. I haven't, but I left it. I have enough room to do that. Yeah, so this is getting closer. Let me show you what's in, how I left inside. So after you run the wires through the firewall, it's kind of dark. Basically, you see the wires coming in through here. I'm probably gonna zip tie it there so it doesn't get tugged on. Then I ran it through this thing. Then here it is. Now the next thing I'm gonna do is solder the pin for this, and then I'm gonna pin it in. So I'm gonna do that, and I'll come back. Okay, got it all pinned in. Basically, vtec solenoid goes into, they tell you A4, which is second pin on the bottom. because it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's this one right here, it's pinned in, and then vtec oil pressure switch and knock sensor both goes into this one. So from this view, you can't hardly tell that, you know, I pinned it in, but I did. I gotta clean up in here now, and then we're practically done with this. I'm not gonna put the battery and battery tray on yet because, well, maybe I will, because I need to start it. Yeah, you know what, I'll do that. But as far as this episode or update, we're done. I'm gonna make a separate episode on if I decide to make an adapter so I could plug in the Type R ECU, or if I just buy a P28. The thing I don't like about the P28 is a lot of them, the rev limit is set really high, you know, when you chip them. And I'm not planning on doing much mods to the motor. The Type R, it's basically plug and, you know, well, minus the adapter, it's plug and play. Rev limit's at 86, which the GSR motor can handle. It's, and I might actually put a Type R cam on it, you know. We'll see. If I do decide to make an adapter, which probably I'll make a video on that, on how to make the adapter, because you can't really buy those adapters. Most OBD2 to OBD1 is basically OBD2 cars that you plug in an OBD1 ECU. This would be an OBD1 to OBD2, which is an OBD1 car that you plug in an OBD2 ECU. It's not a US Type R, it's a JDM Type R. You can't, if you try to use a US OBD2 ECUs on one of these cars, you'll have nothing but check engine lights. Alright, till next time.